Hello, people. How is everybody? Welcome. I am doing this little impromptu Facebook Live because I'm feeling inspired to share some wisdom with all of you folks. If you are brand new to this group and you do not know who I am, welcome. I'm Brianna. I'm the founder of this group. I help teen girls and young women end the vicious cycle of their mental health challenges so that they can rise above them and truly start loving themselves from the inside out. Yes, this is what I do every single day. And I wanted to come on here and just share because I'm feeling very inspired after a group coaching session that I just had with amazing girls that are in my program. And we were talking about you just have to decide who you want to be and the life that you want to live, right? It comes down to a decision. So a lot of girls are living their lives on default. And if your daughter is struggling with her mental health, chances are she's living her life on default. So what does that mean? She's not in the driver's seat of her own life. And she's probably saying or thinking to herself, like, I have no control over my mental health. It's not up to me. This is why I need medication. This is why I need to rely on all these other people because I'm helpless and I'm broken and my brain is broken and I don't know how to help myself, right? And so this is where a lot of girls fall into the trap of not being able to pull themselves out of these really dark places that they find themselves in, right? Because one, they don't know how to take responsibility for their lives and where they are. And two, they just have this like helpless demeanor. Like, I can't do it. It's either I can't do it or I don't want to do it or I don't believe it's possible. They don't have the faith. They don't have the certainty that they can actually take control of their lives. And so it really does come down to a decision that if your daughter's struggling with her mental health, she's going to have to make a decision as far as what she wants for herself and her life. By the way, if you're joining me live, let me know you're here live. Just comment below. Just like, hey, Noreen, you're joining me live. I'm glad that you are here for my impromptu Facebook Live. If you're joining live, let me know you're here live. If you're joining the replay, great too. Just comment below replay so I know that I'm not doing a talking monologue because you know those are fun. So anyways, I'm going to make this short and sweet because I got to figure out what I'm going to make for dinner. And I don't know what I'm making for dinner, so we will figure it out. So your daughter's decision, right? So when I said a lot of girls are living their lives on default, right? They don't believe that they can actually be a co-creator of their lives. They feel like, you know, they have a bad hand at life. It's genetics. It's like there's nothing that they can really do. So it's kind of like a woe is me victimhood. I'm never really going to get ahead. I'm never going to get what I want. I'm never going to feel better. It's just anxiety and depression all the way. All the way. I'm just going to ride this out. And anxiety and depression is just like, that's what it's going to be. Now, for a lot of your daughters, it's not just anxiety and depression. Then we got self-harm. Then we got eating disorders. Then we got suicidal thoughts. Oh, I love it, Noreen. So then, you know, your daughter may be struggling with all of those. And I know in the poll that I put, because I'm creating a training for you guys, it's going to be focused on depression because that was the one that got the most votes. I know a lot of you guys were commenting like, just pick one. How can I just pick one? They're all, like my daughter's struggling with all of them. And it really, it is because it almost becomes like the perfect storm. When your daughter doesn't get control of one mental health challenge, then another one's going to appear, then another one's going to appear, and then another one's going to appear. So now you're not just dealing with social anxiety, now you got depression. Now you're not just dealing with depression and anxiety, now you're self-harming. Now your daughter's not just, you know, dealing with depression and self-harm and anxiety, but now she's suicidal or she's having suicidal thoughts and then she's had suicidal attempts. So it's the whole trifecta of like, oh shit, this has gotten really bad. And so for a lot of you parents, it's like you just, some of you just found out, that your daughter is struggling, that your daughter is like doing really, really bad and you didn't know because she never shared it with you and she was really good at masking it and covering it up. And for other parents, you've known that your daughter has been struggling and you've been doing all the things, the therapy, the medication, the inpatient, the outpatient, all the things, and still you're left thinking to yourself, what the F? Like, why isn't anything working, right? So here's the thing. Your daughter can create her best life. Yes, I said it. Your daughter can create her best life. But how does she do this? So one of the things that I was explaining to the girls in my program this evening is that you just have to make a decision. Like, what's it going to be? Do you want to live a life of struggle? Yes or no? Of course, none of the girls are like chiming in. Yes, yes, I want a life of struggle. Great. We don't want a life of struggle. Do we want a life of suffering? Anybody? Any takers? Anyone want suffering? Anybody? 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 Right? So nobody actually intentionally wants suffering and struggling, especially not your daughter, right? But what's happening is they are living their lives on default and they don't understand how to take control of their lives. It's almost like driving a car. And depression has got the wheel, and anxiety has got the wheel, and self-harm has got the wheel, and suicidal thoughts has got the wheel, and they're sitting in the back seat like, oh crap, where are we going? I don't know where we're going. I don't know what's going on. And right, they're just like there for the ride. And this is how, for a lot of girls, they feel inside when it comes to mental health, because they feel like, okay, the mental health is like here, then they're back here, and they've just like, they don't know what to do, right? They don't know what to do. They don't know how to help themselves. They don't know how to pull themselves out of the depths of depression. They don't know how to pull themselves out of the anxiety. They don't know how to stop the self-harm. They don't know how to stop themselves from having suicidal thoughts. They don't know how to stop themselves from wanting to die each and every day. They don't know how. They're like, well, I'm going to therapy. Why am I still feeling this way? I'm on medication. Why am I still feeling this way? I went to residential for 3 months. Why am I still freaking feeling this way? Right? So there's a lot of pieces that go into this, but one of the pieces of the puzzle is that your daughter just has to make a decision. Also, you guys have to, you parents have to also make a decision for your daughter's mental health. Because it could be a cookie cutter approach all the way, or it could be a new approach that actually works, right? So the cookie cutter approach is only going to get you so far, if it's gotten you far at all, or maybe it's not, right? You guys can chime in on that. The mental health system is flawed. That is not an opinion, it's a fact. Because if it was actually working, more girls would be healing and more girls would be taking control of their lives. More girls would be taking care of their lives, of their mental health, than what is going on right now, right here, today. Yeah, more and more girls are committing suicide every single day. More and more girls are wanting to die every single day. More and more girls are hating themselves every single day. What the freak is going on here, right? So is the mental health system all it's cracked up to be? Is it working? I don't know, you tell me. You tell me if it's working for your daughter. You tell me if the therapy and the medication and the hospitalizations and the ER visits and all the things that you have been trying, if you've been trying those things, let me know if they've been working, because I would really love to know in the chat. If they're working for you, I'm like really happy for you and I'm really thrilled. But I know I'm talking to the majority of the people that are in this group that have not seen it happen for their daughter, that have not seen the change, that have not seen the transformation that you're like hoping for, praying for. You're saying like, where is it? Where is my daughter? I want her back. I want my daughter back. I want to see her personality. I want to see her laugh so hard that like it hurts inside her chest because she's laughing so hard. I want to see my daughter give me a hug and tell me she loves me. I want to see my daughter interact with the family instead of being in her room with a closed door and almost like, don't talk to me, right? I know a lot of you want these things for your daughter and you're not getting them. You're not seeing your daughter step into the fullest expression of who she is. Now, why are so many of the other things with the mental health system, like why is it all flawed? Why is it all effed up? Why isn't it working? Well, it was interesting because I was reading, somebody had booked a call with my team, and one of the things that this mother said is that the old approach is not treating my daughter as like a whole child. And it's so true. And what do we mean by like whole child, right? Your daughter is a whole person. And when she goes to a doctor and she goes to a psychiatrist and they put her on the medication, is the medication working with your daughter's whole being? Is it working with her whole being, or is it just working on one aspect, the mental? But your daughter is a whole being just like you are. So how can we just work on one thing and not address the others, right? Yeah, heart, brain, spirit. Yeah, you can call it like whatever you guys want, right? The mental, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. So that is a whole child. That is a whole being. That is a whole human being. You, me, or anybody else. So what are we doing when we're going the cookie cutter route, because that's the only way that we know how, because there's, people that say that they can help your daughter, and, we all like, when people have the nice letters behind their name, so we think that we can trust them to end your daughter's depression and anxiety and all the things. I'm not saying they don't have the best of intentions. They do. But is it working? That's the real question, right? So when we're looking at treating your daughter not as a whole being, but just in the head, what happens? Does it work? Is it successful? Do you get your daughter back? I'm going to go with no. You don't get your daughter back. If you're just looking here and you're not looking here, and you're not looking at the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, then what are we doing for these girls? So let's go to trauma for a second. Trauma. Where does trauma go? Is it a mental thing? So if your daughter has, I'm not going to say if your daughter has been through trauma, your daughter has been through trauma. Because I believe every single human being has been through trauma. Big trauma, small trauma, it doesn't matter. We've all been traumatized in our lives. Sometimes we don't think it's trauma. It is. It's not what it is. It's how we experience it in our bodies, right? So what happens with trauma? So when your daughter goes on Lexapro or Prozac or any of the other, medications that the doctor is going to, prescribe to her, the psychiatrist is going to prescribe to her, what does that do to the trauma? Let's say your daughter was molested. Let's say that your daughter was sexually abused. Let's say that your daughter was raped. Now, those are big traumas. There are smaller traumas, though, right? Let's say your daughter was in an emotionally abusive relationship. Let's say your daughter, was bullied. There's so many things. There's so many things I could go on and on and on, right? For the sake of time, I'm not. So what happens to the trauma when your daughter gets put on these medications? Can she feel better on medication? Absolutely. I'm not denying it. Yeah, sure. She can feel better on medication. Is that the end all be all goal for your daughter to feel better? But again, let's look back. Yeah, of course I do agree. We want your daughter to feel better, right? The meds put a Band-Aid on the trauma, but doesn't heal it. Exactly. Noreen gets it. Noreen's daughter was in the program, my program. Had massive transformation 2 years ago, and her daughter's still doing amazing. So, okay, so the doctors give you a prescription, okay, send you on your merry way, and then she's got a psychiatrist, fantastic, she's got the medication, fantastic. So again, a traumatized girl, when we're looking at, okay, we're just going to treat her on the mental, right? So we're just going to give her the medication. So what happens to the trauma? What happens to the trauma when your daughter is put on medication? Does the trauma go away? No. Does it disappear? No. Does it get pushed down even more? Yes. So we can push it down all we want. We can suppress these emotions. We can suppress the trauma. We can suppress all of it. Does it mean it's just gone away? Absolutely not. And it's going to come back. It's going to fester inside of her. Whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next week, next month, next year, it's going to come back up with a vengeance. That's just how trauma works. So the medication and therapy helps them work through it, where she can come off the medication. Yeah, Again, I'm not, Leah, I'm not sure how you pronounce your name. I'm not knocking it. I do think that sometimes there is a time and a place for medication, but here's what I am knocking. I don't think a lot of these girls should be put on medication for as long as they are. If they're suicidal and they need medication to get stable, great. But then what happens when they're stable and then they're staying on medication for years and years and years when they don't need to be on it anymore? Or what happens when they're relying on the medication to get through life instead of learning tools and skills and resiliency to get through life instead of relying on medication to do the job, right? So, and again, that doesn't take into account the unhealed trauma that's living in your daughter's body as we speak, if your daughter hasn't healed, right? So your daughter can go on the medications, and I'm not saying it can't help, but again, if she's got unhealed trauma inside of her, that's going nowhere. And it's going to stay inside of her, and it's going to fester, and it's going to erupt, and it's going to come out in ugly, nasty ways. It can come down in breakdowns. It can come out, through self-harm, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, suicide attempts. Self-loathing is a big thing. When girls have gone through trauma, there's a lot of self-loathing and a lot of unworthiness that comes with that trauma, right? That's why we can't really just look at the trauma without looking at the healing work, the compassion work, the self-love work. They all go hand in hand, going back to your daughter as a whole child. So we're not just looking at a mental thing. It's not just mental, right? The physical is, again, and the physical, the emotional, the spiritual. I'm going to use the word spiritual because some of you guys think it's religious and it's not. I'm going to tell you, spiritual does not have anything to do with religion. Spiritual is your daughter connecting to her heart. Spiritual is your daughter connecting to her soul. Spiritual is your daughter connecting to the truth of who she really is. So that's not religious, right? That's connection to self. So when I say spiritual, most girls are operating from a place of disconnection. And they feed off of validation from other people because they're so disconnected with themselves. This is one of the biggest issues with the mental health challenges that we are seeing: the anxiety, the depression, the self-harm, the suicidal thoughts, the eating disorder. You want to know why all of that is happening for these girls, including a lot of your daughters? It's because your daughter is disconnected with herself. She's disconnected with herself. She doesn't even know who she is. She has no meaning inside of her. Even girls at a young age want to live meaningful lives. They want to have a sense of purpose. They want to know, what is this thing called life that we're living? What is it for? Are we here just to go to college, get good grades, then after college, go get married, have 2.5 kids, a white picket fence? Is that what life is all about? And look, none of those things are bad to want those or to have those. But if you have all of that and you still don't know who you are, if you have all of that and you still don't like yourself when you look in the mirror, if you have all of that but yet you're married to a narcissist, or you have all of that but you're married to somebody who treats you like shit, what is any of this stuff worth, right? So we have to scale it back a notch and ask ourselves, what do I want to instill in my daughter? What do I want her to be? Who do I want her to become? What kind of life do I want my daughter to live? Is it about getting ahead? Is it about making money? Is it about the career that she's going to have one day? All of these are important. Don't get me wrong. We all need to make money. We all need to work and have careers and all the things. And your daughter's going to have that one day. But aside from all of that, if your daughter doesn't know who she is, if she can't look in the mirror and say, I love you, I love who I've become, I'm proud of myself for everything that I've been through and getting through it. If your daughter doesn't have that, then what does she have? A bunch of boxes on a list that she can check off to say, I did that, I did that, I did that. Who gives a shit what your daughter did? Let's go into the more important question. Who is your daughter being? Who is your daughter being? To herself, first and foremost, right? How is she showing up for herself? With love and compassion, or self-loathing and self-hatred, right? A lot of you parents also, you're showing up with self-hatred. You're showing up with, like, how many of you parents are, you tear yourself down for the way that you look. Oh God, I got to get on another diet. Oh God, I hate the way that I look. Like, I know that's one aspect of this, right? But I know there's a lot of you parents that are also struggling with this, right? And so we really just have to get crystal clear on what's really important to instill in my daughter. What do I want her to learn? Who do I want her to be? Do I want her to heal as a whole person, as a whole child? Or do I only want to tackle this one thing, this thing called the mental, and skip over the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual? Who cares if she doesn't know who she is? It's all about getting ahead in life. No, it's not. And this is why so many adults go through life, and then as adults, they become addicted to drugs, to alcohol, to numbing their pain, to not feeling their feelings and emotions. Again, those adults still never dealt with their trauma. Those adults still never found their meaning and their purpose in life. They still don't know who they are, right? So adults, this is not just a teen girl and young woman thing. This is like people. There are so many people out there that are struggling. They're struggling with a lack of fulfillment in life because all the things we have been led to believe is, oh, this is what I need to get in life. This is what I need to do with my life. Achieve, earn, make money, do, get this career, achieve, I'm going to do all the things because I thought this is what was supposed to make me happy. I woke up when I was 30 years old and I said, fuck this. I'm not happy. I wasn't happy. I was 30 years old and I had a completely different career than I have right now. And I was not happy. And on the outside, it looked pretty good because I had a nice place right on the marina overlooking the water. I had a nice cushy job. I was making good money. Like, I had all the things. Great. I had all the things. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit that I had all the things? I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. I lacked meaning and purpose. I didn't even like who I was. So that's when I started doing the work. That's when I started doing the inner work. That's when I started showing up differently because I really dedicated my life to figuring this out. What was going to make me happy? What was going to fulfill my soul? Right? And I did workshops and I did retreats and I did seminars and I learned under some like masters and spiritual thinkers and oh my God, like I've done it all. I got, a master's degree because I really wanted to immerse myself in all of this work. And it wasn't until I started seeing some major results in my life that I was like, oh my God, these teen girls and young women, they need this. Because what do they have? Therapy and medication? Times have changed. They need more than that. It doesn't even work half the time. More than half of the time. So that's when I decided, like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I am meant to do with my life. This is my calling. This is my sole purpose. I'm going. I'm doing this. And I've never stopped. I've never looked back. And I just keep going. We've had the most amount of girls, like this year alone, the amount of girls that have come into my coaching program in January and February is astounding. It's incredible. It's incredible. The lives that are changing every single day when these girls actually step up, show up, do the work, do the inner work, and really say to themselves, I am not my trauma. I am not my past. I am who I choose to become. There's power in that times a million. So it really comes down to a decision. Your daughter has to decide who she wants to be. She is co-creating her life right now. And right now, if your daughter doesn't have the life that she wants to live, you know why? She's living it on default. And that is not the way to go through life. there is a way that your daughter can go through life, but it takes a different approach. It takes her getting out of her own way. Remember I said that if you were here from the beginning, she's got to get out of the back seat of the car and she's got to start driving the car. If she wants to co-create her best life, can't live life by default. You have to take charge. Your daughter's not going to know how to do this on her own. She's not going to get this from a self-help book. She's not even going to get this from therapy or medication. So if you like what I'm talking about, if you like my approach, check out the testimonials, by the way. We've got so many, I've lost count. The success stories are there. My program is proven. We're not testing this thing out anymore, okay? It works. It works. It's really just up to you, like, it's cookie cutter doing it. It's cookie cutter getting your daughter the life that she deserves to be living. Or are you ready for more for her? And is she ready? She also has to be willing and wanting this, right? We don't work with everybody. I know it kills some parents when I say that because they're like, why won't you work with my daughter? I'm not going to work with your daughter if she doesn't want the help. You know why? We have a very high success rate. You know why we have a very high success rate? Because we don't invite everyone in. If your daughter doesn't want the help, how am I going to help her? I can't. I won't. I won't invite your daughter into my program if she doesn't want help. So the desire has to be there. The desire for transformation has to be there, meaning your daughter has to make a decision. She has this one life. What is she going to do with it? If she's content being depressed and anxious and suicidal and eating disorder and self-harming, if she's content living that kind of life, I'm not your person for her because I can't help her. Your daughter has to have a desire to get out of the hell that she's currently living in. She's got to say, I am worth more than this. And maybe I don't feel that worthiness inside me yet, but I know I can get there, or I want to believe I can get there. And I know I need help. So if you are ready for your daughter to take control of her life, for her to truly start loving herself, for her to heal from her trauma, if you're ready for that, either watch my webinar if you haven't already. I'll leave the link below. If you've already watched it and you've delayed for whatever reason, you can also book a call with my team. But I will say this again, your daughter has to want the help. If not, my program is not going to work for her and we will not invite her in, okay? Again, your daughter has to want it. This is not a program for everyone. It's a program for those girls who want it, right? Who are willing to put in the effort, put in the work. Look, I'm as realistic as they get, right? And so I'm not going to tell you guys, or I'm not going to tell your daughter, we're not going to tell your daughter, sure, we can help you, but you don't want any help? You don't want to change? You don't want a transformation? That's where you guys have to come in. Because if your daughter is resisting, well, she's getting something out of the stuckness. She's getting something out of the suffering. Otherwise, she would have wanted help by now. She's getting something from it, right? It's all subconscious, by the way. But she's getting something out of her suffering if she doesn't want to move out of it. What that is, that's a whole other conversation. I'm trying to make this short. Short and sweet. This is not a short and sweet Facebook Live, but I'm trying to make it that way. So if you know that this is what you want for your daughter, again, I'll leave the webinar below. I'll leave the link to book a call below, and we can take it from there. If you have questions, comments, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer. And I will let you guys know, because I'm going to do a free training on depression, because you guys, a lot of you voted, and depression was in the lead. So I will be putting together a free training. Stick by, hang around. I'll look out for the posts from me, because I'll tell you when I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if it's going to like be a 3-part training or if I'll just do one training. I mean, obviously there's so many aspects of depression and where we can take that. So I will let you guys know when I have the details, so you can mark your calendars. If you can join me live, fantastic for the free training. If not, you can always join the replay. So I'll let you guys know when that will be taking place. And I will see you guys later. Bye for now.